Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, welcome. My name is Faith. Thank you so much for being here. You probably weren't expecting to see me sitting in front of the camera because for most of my declutter videos, I don't do a regular setup. I just get right into it and start decluttering, and I'm not normally on camera, but I wanted to actually introduce myself today because this is a little bit of a different declutter. I'm doing this in collaboration with MakeupByMolly, and we are basically competing to see how many of our foundations we can declutter. So we're just going to be basing this off of a percentage of how many foundations we can declutter from our collection. I recently started getting into decluttering videos. I've done an eyeshadow palette declutter, I did a red and pink lip product declutter, and next week I'm going to be doing a nude lip product declutter. And I love Molly's channel. I've watched it in the past. I've noticed that she's done a lot of decluttering videos, and she actually commented on one of my recent declutter videos, and it made me think we should totally collab and do like a competition on some sort of category of makeup. And we both decided on foundations because we hadn't done that recently, and here we are. So yeah, I did just want to hop on here, quickly introduce myself to any of Molly's subscribers that are visiting my channel to see how I do with this declutter. I just wanted to say hello and thank you for being here. And if you do like what you see as you go and you feel a connection, I'd love it if you would consider subscribing to my channel before you leave here. I also do have a giveaway running right now. I'll link that below in the description bar. So if you like giveaways, check that out as well. But other than that, let's get right on into this foundation declutter and let me see if I can beat Molly. So here are all of my foundations. I just counted them and there are 43 in there, and we are going to see how many I can declutter. And this is also going to be, I think, really helpful for you guys if you're looking to try new foundations, because as I go through each one, I'll basically be giving you my opinion on each and every foundation and telling you why I like it and why I'm keeping it, or why I didn't like it and why I'm getting rid of it. So let's get right on into it. So first up, I have this stick foundation from Revlon. This is their Photo Ready Insta-Fix foundation stick, and this is so old. First of all, it's the shade 130. I guess for winter time this would be my shade, but that is all that's left in there. I did like this. I don't think I would repurchase it. I am going to declutter it just because there's barely anything left and it's so old. I don't love stick foundations. I think I only have one or two others in my collection. So again, it wasn't a bad foundation. I did use up most of it. But I probably won't be repurchasing it, and I am going to declutter it. Next up is actually a foundation I have not tried yet, so I am not going to declutter it because I want to test it out. It's actually a BB cream, BB tinted moisturizer from Gerard Cosmetics. This is their BB plus Illumination face cream, and the shade I have is Grace. So I have not tried this and I want to, so I'm going to keep this. Next up is the Milani Conceal and Perfect foundation. This is a really popular foundation. A lot of people love it. I got the shade 2, which is natural. I think I've used this 2 or 3 times. I have to say I wasn't all that impressed and I didn't really like it that much. However, I'm going to keep it even though I probably should get rid of it, and I want to beat Molly, so I really should be getting rid of it. However, I do want to keep it because I have done like full faces of Milani makeup in the past, and you guys really love Milani, so it's not terrible. And if I ever wanted to do another Milani type of video, this is the only foundation I have from them, so I'm going to keep it. And you know, maybe I should play around with it a little bit more. The problem with this for me was it was kind of thick and dry, so maybe if I added a drop of oil into it or something like that, I would like it better. So I'm going to give this another chance and I'm going to keep it. Next up is from Neutrogena, their Hydro Boost Hydrating Tint. So I have like a love-hate relationship with this. I love it in the summer because it's more of a tint. It's not super full coverage. However, you have to use a ton of it to get any sort of tint or coverage. Like, it's a strange doe foot applicator. You'd think it would just come out, but it's like a doe foot applicator, and you have to put this back in and out and on your face probably, I'd say 10 to 15 times to even get a remote amount of coverage. So I don't like that, but I am going to keep it because it's nice for summer. I haven't been using it lately, obviously, since it's winter, but this is also the shade Natural Beige 60 if you are interested. I may try and get some other shades of this because this looks more like my winter shade. However, I use this in the summer, so that doesn't really make sense. I'm going to keep it, but I'm not in love with it. Next up, I have this foundation from Tarte. This is their Empowered Hybrid Gel Foundation. I have the shade Light Medium Sand. I don't like this. I don't like jar foundations. It's just weird to work with. I don't really like how this looks on my skin. I can't even describe it. It's just weird. Like it did not work for me. Like it just looked kind of patchy. Like it clung to dry patches, even though it's not a matte foundation really. It's like a gel. So I really wasn't a fan of this. I'm going to declutter it. I've only used this a couple times, so I may see if a friend of mine has a similar skin tone and would like to try it, but I'm not going to be keeping it. Okay, next up I have all of my Behr Minerals powder foundations. I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in total. I do know I'll need to get rid of some of these, but probably not many of them because I love these. So again, these are powder foundations. You probably are most familiar with the ones that look like this. They more recently, and not like that recent, but probably in the last 5 years, came out with a pressed version of their traditional powder foundation that you would put in the cap, swirl with the brush, and place on your face. This one is so old, probably 10 years old. There's barely any left, and this isn't really my shade anymore. I could get away with wearing golden medium, but it's really not my shade, and I should just get rid of this. I also really prefer the pressed versions now, so I'm going to declutter this. I also have this big one. Every year around the holidays they come out with a big version of their loose powder. This is probably 7 years old, which is disgusting. I kind of mostly kept it for the pretty packaging, but I'm going to finally declutter it. It also is a different shade that I don't really wear now. It's medium beige. I think they kind of expanded their shade range and the undertones they use, and I like the shade I have now much better. So I'm going to declutter this. There's not too much left in it, so I don't feel too bad about that, and it's super old. So now we have our pressed powder foundations. I think they're called the Performance Wear. Yeah, they're Behr Pro Performance Wear Powder Foundation Compact. This shade, Cool Beige, I think I got it at Marshall's because I normally wouldn't have gone for this shade. It really is not a match for me, so I'm going to see if a friend of mine might want this. These are my everyday colors. The camel one is the one I wear when I have a fake tan or it's summer, and Golden Ivory is the shade I wear right now. I actually did use this today. If you want to scroll back and look at the intro, this is what I put over my liquid foundation, so I should have mentioned that as well. Specifically how I use these foundations is to set down my liquid foundations, kind of like an all over pressed powder. So I love these. I'm definitely going to keep this one, and I'm keeping, actually wait, I think this is like really gone. I should just use that. I want to say I'll declutter it just to add another one to the list, but I'm not going to be wasteful, so I'm not going to declutter this just yet. I'm going to finish it off. But I have 2 backups of Camel. I actually found these at Marshall's, which was crazy, for like $10. They're normally $30, but when I saw that they had my shade, I picked up 2. So I'm going to be keeping all 4 of these. Sticking with powder foundations, I have 2 more. They're from NYX. I bought these because I wanted to do a drugstore makeup tutorial, and I wanted to use some sort of like foundation powder like my Behr Minerals one, but a drugstore version, and these are not good. These are the Stay Matte But Not Flat powders. I actually used a lot of that. I had no idea that I used up that much because I really don't like this. It says Stay Matte But Not Flat, but on me it's very flat and matte, and it really looks dry on my skin. The reason I love the Bare Minerals powders for overlaying over my liquid foundation is because they never make me look powdery or dry. These did that. So this is the shade Natural, and then this is the shade Medium Beige. This one I didn't use much of at all. I'm going to declutter both of these, and I may see if someone wants to use this, either a sister or friend, because this one still has a lot of product in it, but I'm going to declutter both of these. Next up, I have this skin tint from Glossier. It is their Perfecting Skin Tint, and I have the shade Medium. I got this maybe a month or two ago. It is very light coverage. It really truly is a skin tint. I probably will enjoy this more in the summer when I have a tan, and my skin always looks better in the summer just because it gets that vitamin D and some sun. I do like this. It's a little tricky because it's just like literally a squeeze bottle. So you either have to squeeze it onto your sponge or brush, or just squeeze it onto your face. I've just squeezed it right onto my face because it's a very thin liquidy formula, and squeezing it onto a brush or sponge can get messy. So I do like it though, and I am going to keep it, but it's also not my favorite. I feel like I've saved some of my favorite stuff for the end, so stay on the lookout if you're really looking for some good recommendations. This hasn't been my favorite, but I do like it, and this would be more of like a pool day sort of product, like very minimal coverage, or like a gym day. I have two foundations that I have not tried. This is from a brand called Mana Kadar. This is what they look like. I have not tried these yet, and I do want to, so I'm going to keep both of them. It's a brand that I think you can just get on their website. It's not really sold anywhere else. I'll have to get back to you guys on if this is any good. This is the shade Flawless Linen, and then this is Flawless Ivory. So I'll have to see which shade fits me better. They both are definitely going to be my winter shades. I can just tell by looking at them, but I'm going to keep these and get back to you. This foundation I absolutely love, and I really need to repurchase. It's like down to here. It's also very hard to get if you are in the US because it's a UK drugstore brand. This is from Bourjois, and it's their Healthy Mix Gel Foundation. This is the shade Light Beige. It's kind of like my in-between shade. It's not really winter, not really super dark, but it's just my natural shade, I guess you could say. This foundation is so nice, but again, it's very hard to get and very expensive for a drugstore foundation if you are in the US. I think if you're in the UK, this is probably like £7 or £8, which I guess in US is probably, I don't know, $6, $7 or something like that. But for me to get this with shipping and everything like that, it comes out more to like $15, $16. However, it is worth it, and I am going to put this on my list to repurchase because I really like it. It just is super glowy. It reminds me of L'Oreal Pro Glow, which is one of my favorite foundations that I'll be getting to here shortly. I highly recommend this. I think you can purchase it on Walmart. I'll try and find a link for it down below. It may not be available on Walmart anymore. I think I might have found it on ASOS or some sort of UK clothing brand that also sells makeup. I'll try to find it. It is difficult to find and a little bit pricier if you're not in the UK, but I really enjoy this, so I'm going to keep it. I have another product from Bare Minerals that I forgot to talk about when I was talking about their powders. This is their Complexion Rescue Tinted Hydrating Gel Cream, and this is my summer shade, Dune, and this is basically gone. I think there's literally nothing in here. I don't even know if I can call this a declutter. I think that would be cheating because this should really just go in the garbage. It's empty. I think I kept it to remind myself to buy more of it because I really do love this, but I'm going to take this out of the declutter. So now instead of going off of 43 foundations in total, we're going to go off of 42 because this does not count. It's empty. This is awesome for summer. It has SPF 30 in it. It has definitely more coverage than the Glossier one I talked about, but not too much coverage where you feel thick and heavy. I normally will use this and then put a little bit of the Bare Minerals Powder Foundation over top if I need a little bit more coverage. Next up, I have the Smashbox Studio Skin 15 Hour Wear Hydrating Foundation. This was new to me in the last few weeks even. I've tried it once and I really liked it. It didn't blow my mind, but I did enjoy it. This is the shade 2.22 and it's for skin tone light medium olive undertone. So this is more for when I have a fake tan. I did really like it. It's not as hydrating as I'd like it to be for saying it's a hydrating foundation, but I'm going to keep it and play around with it more, and maybe I'll start mixing a beauty oil in it to make it even more hydrating. But my first impression of this was that I did like it. I have another Tarte foundation, and again, I was not impressed with this. This was the Shape Tape foundation, the hydrating one. They also came out with a matte one. This was a huge debacle, if you remember. There was a lot of controversy because of the shade range on this. I did do a video, like a first impressions, and I think I liked it. I don't think I was blown away by it. I honestly can't remember. As I continued to use it, I didn't love it. I honestly, it kind of has a fragrance if I remember. Let me see. Oh, and again, I forgot. It's one of those doe foot applicators. I hate that in foundations. Yeah, it has a weird fragrance and it kind of made my skin tingle the more I used it. I really don't like this. I'm going to declutter it. I may see if there's someone in my family that would want to try this because it's basically full. This is the shade Light Medium Sand. I wish I liked it. I wanted to like it, but I don't. I love Tarte Shape Tape, the actual concealer, but this I did not like. Next up, I have a stick foundation from Hourglass. This is the shade Warm Ivory. This is more of my fake tan shade, I would say. I do really like this. I'm not normally a fan of stick foundations. I think I said that already. It is kind of messy, even though I tried to be careful with it. It is messy, and you have to use quite a lot of it, and there's not a lot of product in here. I still have quite a bit left, actually. I'm surprised by that because I have used this a lot. I learned about this from Jaclyn Hill. This was in her foundation routine. She used this and then I think the Dior Forever foundation, which I also have and we'll get to soon. But I do like this. I'm going to keep it. It's not my favorite foundation, but it's very good and I probably should use it a little bit more. Okay, why don't we just talk about those Dior foundations next. I have two shades. One is my like winter shade and then one is my summer shade. This is 021 and this is 10. And I do really like this foundation. My only complaint is the fragrance in it, and that's pretty typical for high-end luxury foundations. They typically have almost like a perfumey smell, which I really don't like. I do think it tends to break me out. I haven't had a severe breakout from these, but I just dislike that about this foundation. However, I do love the finish and I love the coverage. This is like a satin finish, I would say, and I'm very dry, so normally I have to go with a hydrating foundation. Normally never a matte foundation, and even some satin finish foundations will look matte on me, but I like this because it gives me that satin finish that looks really good in photographs, but it never looks dry on me. So I really do enjoy this. The only thing I hate about it is the fragrance, but I definitely would check this out if you haven't already and give it a try. It's around $50 or $55, so it is expensive, but I really do like it, and the shade match is really good for me too, which I enjoy. So I'm keeping both of these. Next up, I have my absolute favorite drugstore foundation. Whenever anybody asks me for a drugstore foundation recommendation, I always tell them L'Oreal Infallible Pro Glow, especially if they're dry. If they're more on the oily side, I will recommend the L'Oreal Pro Matte, which is this exact formula, just a matte version. I love this foundation. This first one is the shade 202. This is my winter shade, and then this one right here is 205. This is my more summer shade. Whoops. They are super luminous. They last forever. A lot of times with hydrating foundations, they'll slip and slide even if you are more on the dry side. These don't do that. Great coverage. I'm a huge fan of this, and I'm keeping both of these. These are what used to be my favorite drugstore foundation before I found the L'Oreal Pro Glow. This is the L'Oreal True Match Lumi foundation. This first one here is my summer shade. It is N3, Natural Buff. And then this one is N12, which is Soft Ivory. This is my winter shade. I do like this, and I probably should try it again, but ever since I got the L'Oreal Pro Glow, I just kind of set these to the side and haven't used them, but I do really, really like this. So I'm going to get back into these, try them out again. I know that they're really good. I just haven't used them in a while, but I am going to keep both of these. Oh, you guys, I feel like I'm going to lose this competition. I have not been decluttering enough. This is the Urban Decay All Nighter foundation. I am the shade 3. This is kind of like my natural shade. This foundation I liked the first 2 times I wore it, and then the more I wore it and really looked at it, especially when I was in natural light, I noticed that my skin looked really, really dry. It just was not hydrating enough for me. However, the coverage on this is really good, and I do want to keep it just because I think I should play around with some beauty oils in it or something like that to help with the hydration. And again, the coverage on this is really good. This would be a really good foundation for pictures, like a wedding, something like that. So I am going to keep it. Oh, you guys, I feel like I'm going to lose this competition. Okay, here is something I think I'm going to declutter. This is from Becca. This is their Ultimate Coverage Complexion Cream. This just was so hard to blend. It was so matte. It's moussey, which I don't love. And again, this was one where the first time I wore it, I thought I liked it, but then the more I wore it and actually looked at it in natural light, the more I realized that it just was not doing anything good for my skin. So I am going to declutter this. There's probably a good amount still in here, so I may see if someone wants to try it out. This is the shade Buttercup. Yeah, I'm going to declutter this. I have another foundation from Becca that I just got. This is the Ultimate Coverage 24-Hour Foundation. Holy cow, they're not kidding when they say ultimate coverage. This is intense. The shade is actually pretty light for me. I had to pick this out online, and I think I kind of messed up on the shade. I got Linen. It's very pale on me, so I have to mix in a darker foundation if I want to use this. I almost feel like I should declutter this too because of the shade and because this was really matte and drying on me. And I think for some people that would be awesome. I don't think this is a bad foundation. I just think it's not good for me because I'm dry, and this is just like a thick, matte, heavy coverage foundation. And that's not normally what I go for, and also the shade is off. So you know what, even though I've only tried this once, I don't think I really have any desire to play around with it anymore. So I am going to see if there's someone who would want to give this a try, and I'm going to declutter it. Next up is this foundation from NARS. This I think was new in the last year or two, maybe, I don't know. This is the Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation, and I got the shade Sahel, number M2.5. This is my shade for when I have a fake tan. This I just got in the last couple weeks. I got it the same time I got the Smashbox one, and this blew me away. I wish I would have bought this way long ago when I was first hearing about it, probably about a year ago. This is so good. The coverage is awesome. The color match is great. They have a ton of shades, and it's a natural finish. However, it did not look dry on me. It almost had a little bit of a radiance, which was really nice. Is this the radiance? Yeah, Natural Radiant. So yeah, that makes sense. This looked really good on my dry skin, had great coverage, and I can't wait to keep playing around with this. I think this might be one of my new favorite foundations, so I'm definitely keeping this. This foundation was in my Best of Beauty this year. This was new to me earlier in the year. It's from Lancome. It's their Tint Idol Ultra Wear. This shade is more for when I'm in my winter pale time. It's 310 Bisque, I think. I love the coverage on this. This is, again, more of a satin finish, but it never makes me look dry. So if you're a dry person who doesn't want to look super dewy, you still want that nice matte or satin finish, I highly recommend this one. It won't make you look dry, but it also won't give you a ton of dew. So it's really great for pictures and things like that. Yeah, this is a great foundation, and I'm definitely going to be keeping this. I actually probably should buy a deeper shade for when I fake tan so that I can wear it then as well. This is a Drugstore Foundation from Maybelline, I think. Yeah, this is the Maybelline Fit Me Dewy and Smooth Foundation. I think I used this in a video. I can't totally remember, but this I am not really a fan of. I love my L'Oreal ones so much better for drugstore dewy foundations. The shade I got was 120, Classic Ivory. This just, again, was kind of thick and moussey, and I really didn't notice any dew in it. It wasn't hydrating on me, so I am going to declutter this and see if there's maybe someone who'd want to try it, because I think I've only used this once or twice. Does this even count as a foundation? It's like a mini size. I am going to count it. It's the Your Skin But Better CC Plus Cream, Color Correcting Full Coverage Cream, SPF 50. I think I've used this once. I wasn't blown away, which I was really disappointed by because people love this for CC creams or like a BB cream tinted foundation moisturizer sort of thing. Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan. It's the shade medium. I am going to keep it though. Actually, should I declutter it? Yeah, I think I'm going to declutter it because I just know myself. I have tinted moisturizers and BB creams I like better, which I'm actually going to be getting to, and this is just not it for me. So, oh, did you catch that? It's not it for me. Okay, stop. Yeah, I'm going to declutter this. There's probably half the tube left. I don't really know if anyone will want it. I may just end up tossing it because it's pretty old. So, yeah, goodbye. Let me talk about a BB cream I do love. This is from Tarte. It's their Amazonian Clay BB Tinted Moisturizer. This is my favorite tinted moisturizer of all time. It has the perfect amount of coverage without being an actual foundation, like thick coverage sort of thing. This is the shade Light, and I also think I used to have a light medium. I'm not sure. But it's really nice. It has SPF 20. I love this in both the winter and summer. If I want just a light makeup day, I'll use this. And this one's almost gone. I probably should pick up another one. I really love this. I've probably repurchased this at least 4 times. So I'm keeping this. This is the Pure Bear It All 12-Hour 4-in-1 Skin Perfecting Foundation in the shade Light Tan. This is pretty deep on me, and I was not a fan of this. It looked really streaky when I applied it. I couldn't get it to blend out well. I was not a fan of this, so I am going to declutter this. I have another sort of BB cream here. This is the Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturizer. It's their oil-free one. This has SPF 20, and this is the shade Sand. This is my shade when I have a tan. This is great for the summer. This does not have as much coverage as the Tarte one does, that Amazonian Clay one that I love the most. This has a little bit less coverage. It's definitely more of a tinted moisturizer than even a BB cream, but it has more tint than the Glossier one. If you remember the Glossier skin tint I talked about, that has almost no coverage. This definitely has more coverage than that. I do like this, and I'm going to keep it because it's a nice shade, a nice deep shade for when I have a really dark tan. I wore this in Florida a lot when I did a vlog. So if you want to see how this looks, I wore this a couple times in my Florida bachelorette vlog. I went on a bachelorette party to Florida. But yeah, I do like this, and I'm going to keep it. Next up, I have the LA Girl Pro Coverage HD High Definition Long Wear Illuminating Foundation. That is such a long name. I have 2 shades here. This one is Fair. This is like more of my winter shade, and then this one is Natural, which is sort of my tan shade. I think I could even go maybe a little darker, but I love these. I will mix this into any foundation that is a little bit thicker to give it a little bit more illumination, hydration. I actually normally don't wear this foundation on its own because it's almost too hydrating. It's like almost slippery and oily, but I love mixing it in to foundations. Actually, specifically, the foundation I'm going to talk about next is one that I love mixing this into the best. But I really love this if you have an issue with your full coverage foundations, even if they say they're hydrating, like not being hydrating enough because you have really dry skin. I would recommend picking up a shade of this and just adding 1 pump of this into your foundation to give it a little bit more of a kick of dewiness and luminosity. This is like my little secret weapon, and it's very affordable. This is probably $7 and you can get it at Ulta. So I'm keeping both of these. And next up is the Too Faced Born This Way foundation. This is what I love mixing in that LA Girl Pro Coverage foundation with, because I like the coverage on this, but it can be just a tad drying for me, and the two of those foundations together just work so well. It's my favorite foundation cocktail of all time. This one right here is Ivory. This is my winter shade, and then this is Light Beige. This is more of my tan shade. A little bit of this goes a long way. You can literally use 1 pump and it almost covers your entire face. So that's really great because this is a little bit more pricey. It's not obviously a drugstore foundation. I think it's like maybe 30 something, but this is really good. It's great for photos. You can use this alone. You don't need to add in any hydration if you don't need it. It's really pretty in photographs, so I'm definitely keeping both of these. Last one, this is from Stila. This is their Stay All Day Foundation and Concealer Duo. So here, if you screw off this whole top, there is like a push button that you get your foundation out of, and then you can flip up the top and then there's a concealer pot in the top. I loved the idea of that. I think it's very innovative. However, I don't love the foundation to begin with, and I really like to use a concealer that's much lighter than my foundation. So because these come together, it's kind of like they're supposed to match, and I don't typically match my foundation and my concealer. I will always use a concealer that is at least 2 to 3 shades lighter than my natural skin tone because I like how it brightens. And again, I didn't really love the formulation of this. It wasn't terrible. I've used it quite a few times, but I think it's time to say goodbye to this guy because I just don't use it. It's pretty old. The shade is Light 3 if you're wondering, but I am going to declutter this. So here are all of the foundations that I have decluttered. We've got a good amount. We'll have to count them out and see how I did here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 foundations, and there were 42 total. So let me go grab my calculator. 14 divided by 42. That is 33%. I think that that is pretty good. We will see how Molly did, but 33%, like a third of my foundations, I'm actually pretty impressed with myself. So that is it, you guys. Again, here are all of the foundations I am getting rid of or giving to friends and family, and then here are the foundations that I am keeping. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below. I love all of you guys, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!